Will I feel anything when I come to my first session? That's a question that I often get asked as a Reiki healer when people come to me for the very first time. Obviously, there's a little bit of apprehension there, and they're kind of like thinking, what exactly is going to happen? So, today, 5 little points here to kind of like answer some of those little questions or inquiries that you may have the very first time you come for a Reiki session. Please do stick around because I think this is all useful. And no matter where you are, you could be a Reiki master, been doing this for years. Hopefully, this might sort of like give you an idea of what's useful for yourself. And obviously, if you've never had a Reiki session, this may just put you at ease a little bit. So let's go through each one. So the first thing I'm going to cover is physical sensations. And often people come in up and think, so what exactly is going to happen? So, and while you're lying on the couch, coming in, and you're laying there, and suddenly you may feel like heat, for example. It's quite common. Heat may be travelling down your arms. And sometimes, depending obviously where on the body the practitioner is working on you, you could put your hand on the body and you feel a sensation. You actually feel the physical sensation. And quite often, and this is unusual, but it does happen, you may feel more than one pair of hands on you. And I know that sounds a bit weird, but this is what Reiki can bring sometimes. And that's just manifestations of energy. And let's put it another way, if we go a little bit more to the more unusual realms, it could well be that you're not alone. Your guides, your healing guides, the Reiki practitioners' guides may be coming in to help you, just to bring that to the fore. Sometimes when you're lying on the couch, it may feel a little bit painful, and that can be a little bit of an issue for us because you think, well, I'm coming in to get better. Why is it hurting? Because we're taking stuff away, stuff that we don't need in our bodies anymore, and it can be unpleasant. It's a bit like, as I always use the analogy of pulling a nail out your foot. It hurts while it's in there, but once you put it out, it needs to go. It hurts as well, but the relief afterwards is palpable. So this is kind of like some of the physical sensations you can experience. There are other ones as well, but they are the main ones. 2, mentally prepare yourself for your Reiki treatment. So the main thing is, you could be coming in all flustered and worried about a certain energy that's been around you for a while, and we kind of need to get that out of our system a little bit. So what do? We just relax, get ourselves into a nice relaxed state of mind. Hopefully the Reiki practitioner will help you do that, because if you're all flustered, it's very hard for you to turn off. And to be fair, quite often when I've treated people in the past, they may take a while before that energy settles down, and then we can get on with the actual treatment itself. Quite often, if we can get ourselves nice and relaxed and mentally prepared for that. And 3, this is probably where quite a few people might forget about this part, and it's so important. Imagine you come to me and you think you've got an hour session, and you think you just want to run straight onto the couch and for me to get busy with you, sending the energy in. Absolutely not. We kind of need to work out what you're here for the session to be about, really, why you're here today. And when we have that discussion, it is so paramount to where the healing session may lead to. So you might be going in, for example, with a sore shoulder. You're thinking, I've got this terrible shoulder pain. And so then I'll be thinking, I'll work on the shoulder. But when we have a discussion, you suddenly find out that person's been holding on to a lot of stuff. Maybe they're overburdened. So actually, rather than the shoulder, we might need to work on the solar plexus or, the heart center, for example. That's why it's important when we have those little discussions to find out what's really going on. So never, ever just jump straight on the couch. That little chat beforehand is kind of pivotal to the whole Reiki experience. Which then comes to the 4th question, how long is the treatment? I often do... There's 3 main ones really. Distant healing. When I send distant healing, that tends to be about 15 minutes or so, 15 to 20 minutes. And that's just as effective, trust me. That is certainly an area we can work on. When it actually comes to in-person, I often give 2 options. because people, we got a budget to work with. And people sometimes, they just like a cheaper version and a quick fix. It's a half-hour treatment sometimes that people will ask me for. And so what I do as well, I also do readings. I might do a half-hour reading, which then leads to a half-hour treatment. So in a weird kind of way, the reading's almost like a consultation, because that for sure will bring up some stuff that we could possibly work with. So that's a half-hour treatment that we could do as well. And then there's the full hour treatment, and that would include, I want to say all of this, that would include the consultation, the treatment itself. You're probably going to be on the couch for about 35 to 40 minutes. And then we got the debrief at the end. You've had all those kind of like elements into the mix, and that's where we're at. Afterwards, this is like a post-session part. So this is where we have a little discussion about what's transpired, what the person on the couch has experienced, and sometimes it might not be very much. They might have a nice, relaxing session. Perfect. Other times they get loads going on. They see colours, they see visions, they might see loved ones who have come through for them. It's not very often, but it can happen. They may see angels, and they may get all kinds of crazy visions. And they may also feel sensations. Stuff gets released, might see it teary, or they might feel nauseous. And this is important. Sometimes when we release stuff, it can make us feel a little bit, I didn't enjoy that at all. You have to remember you're doing healing. That's rare, to be fair. On the whole, most people have a nice experience, but there are times, and it's important that you're aware of this, that stuff gets turned up, that we're ready to go. But always remember, it's better out than in. So better to release that stuff than hold it in. So there we are. That's my little bits for today, and I do hope that's useful for you all. If you do find this content useful, you kind of are drawn to this channel, I'd like to offer you a little free PDF. Some of you may already have it, that's fine, but it's just 9 of ways to work with Reiki. It's just a fun little piece, nothing major, but if you'd like that, please just put PDF in the comments and I'll gladly send that to you. Thank you so much. I wish you all the very best. Much love to you all. Enjoy your Reiki.